All right, we got to look at LILEVO here. Now, I haven't worked on this car since early 2020, so I haven't really done much with it, haven't really driven it much, but I have a little bit extra time now, so I'm going to address a couple issues that I've had. First one being an oil leak right there. I cleaned everything off and then kind of saw this little tiny spot of oil building and bubbling. So we're gonna have to pull the pan, reseal it, and then also this, I think this fitting is leaking. It's been leaking for a while. You can kind of see around that junction a little bit of oil, so I think that leaks. I got some new parts here to replace this old design, which is probably at least 10 years old. We've just got the one-piece billet adapter and then a new push lock style 45 degree on there. So that'll get cleaned up there. There's a lot going on under here. I don't think I've ever done a video kind of looking at what I've got going on down here. Oh, one other thing. I'm also replacing I know how everybody leaves this in here just to keep it plugged, but I finally got the factory 1/8 BS PT plug here. So it's British Standard pipe thread is the thread pitch, and that part number is Mary Sam 661140. So we'll plug that, and here you can see where I kind of cleaned everything off. Now a little bit of oil. I don't know if this is another leak or if that's part of the pan issue, but we'll find out. So we've got the remote oil filter relocation thing. This just spins. I don't even know what brand this is. I think it's just generic. So this feeds the remote oil filter here. I've got a Magnus mesh 30 micron, which I might switch back to regular style. I don't know. This has been on here since, I really don't even know the last time I did an oil change. It's got to at least been 5 years ago, but there's not more than 1,000 miles on it since then. So we've got the lines going to here, the remote oil filter housing, and then we have also got the oil cooler lines here. So these come off the standard 90 style oil filter housing, not the forward facing, but the old style. So those lines come off here and then get mounted to an oil cooler. It is sideways. There's no room in here for anything else. I figure that at least is better than nothing. What else? We have just aftermarket axles in here. They've been fine so far. However, I do have OEM rebuilt axles that we could throw in at some point in time. The intercooler is okay, but at some point I need another one made, because here you can see this is hitting on the trailer, and then I need a wider one, so we could definitely stuff something wider in here, a little bit better fitting. This one came off at one point in time. There was an AMS, I think it was a 93 Colt 2-door automatic. I don't know who built it. It wasn't AMS, but one of the workers there, I believe, they built it and ran, super fast. So this intercooler came off of there, and it kind of sort of fits. It works, but the intake temps climb a little bit too much for me. I like them around ambient, and these are probably 50-60 degrees more at the top of third and fourth gear. So wider intercooler core, and then kind of redo the inlet outlets, make them a little bit tighter. Because again, there's not a whole lot of room to do anything with. Everything's very tight fitting in the Mirage, so gotta kind of work with what you got. But we will get started on the pan resealing, and then I'll probably send in possibly the oil to get analyzed at Blackstone, just to see what they say. I've done it a couple other times on other vehicles, and gives you good insight on what's going on in the engine. This one, typically there's decent amount of wear and the metals and everything from just the high horsepower and the load that goes on inside the motor. So yeah, we will get started here pulling everything, but I figure I just give an update on the car, where it's at. It's still here, just hasn't had much attention lately. The trans, you got the boost-in bearing plate here, the billet bearing plate. It's a TMZ built trans, dog box, all straight cut. So this is solid. I don't think I'm gonna have any more trans problems like I did in the past, but this one's perfect. We got no leaks of any kind anywhere, and yeah, it's running really well. So that's it for now. We'll just see what the next video brings. Alright, we're going to take a look at the oil filter here. So the oil I use and have been using for many years is the Schaefer's 2050 Supreme 7000 and the Brad Penn partial synthetic. These are, I believe these are both partial synthetic, not full synthetic. But the Schaefer's has a lot of zinc, same with the Brad Penn. I've been using them forever, so no reason to change yet. Now I'm going to jokingly say this oil filter has been installed in the car for at least 5 to 7 years. And I got the tool with it because you need a special like tool to remove the cap off of here. I just used a vice grip, the ends of a vice grip in here in a vise, and then was able to break it loose. But we'll see how things look here. There's a lot of like thick kind of black sludgy stuff. I don't know if that's probably not good, but so doesn't look great. There's some shiny stuff in there, and then on here same thing. It's like a thick kind of paste. I don't know how else to describe it. Just this thick, nasty, goopy stuff. So there's nothing magnetic in there. I got this motor from a friend of mine, and we jokingly say it never breaks and it never dies, because he was running a lot of horsepower and nitrous on it, and they sold it to me, and I've been putting a ton of power and boost through it, and I've had no issues. So knock on wood here. So let's get some of this thick stuff off of here. Okay, I'll leave that down there, and then we'll dump this out on a white paper towel. This is the oil relief, part of the oil relief thing. I don't know. It's a good filter. I might just go back to a stock style, just ease of use. So, yeah, nothing too alarming, and there's really nothing in here that looks to be metallic or anything, so that's good. There's a couple tiny little, you see a shaving like right there, but that could be from anything. So looking good. We'll see how this lines up with the oil report. I did take some oil, so we'll send it in for analysis and see what they say. Let's see if we can spray some of this out with brake cleaner. See if anything comes out of it. Same thing on the inside here. There's like, I don't know, like something you'd eat for breakfast. Some kind of peanut butter, black peanut butter. Okay, fun. All right, let me grab a brake clean. This out of the way. Out of the way. So yeah, I don't know, Magnus doesn't make this anymore. It's on their website. I did notice that there's one from China that's exactly the same, it's just silver. So they must have copied their oil filter housing or filter design or something like that. How can we do this here? I don't know if we have to spray it from the inside out, the outside in. Do it both ways. So this is 30 micron. I don't know. I've read people say that that's not fine enough, but at the same time, how would they make a filter that's not good enough, or doesn't filter good enough? Man, this peanut butter is just out of control in here. Ton of it. Okay, so I see a couple little pieces of non-magnetic material. I don't know if you can see right there's a tiny little piece, and here. But again, I mean, that's it. That is it. So we're probably good. Motor's still good for more beating. And that's it. So can proceed with our work and know that that's not for naught. And the engine will stay together after I do all this work with the oil pan and everything. So yeah, so I'll probably clean this up, throw it back in. I don't know, I mean, it's working fine. No reason to change something that's working unless the oil report comes back and says otherwise. I'll tell them I'm running the 30 micron filter, see what they say, and see how that aligns with the oil analysis. If there's some bigger particles that they're concerned about or something, some kind of wear, maybe we can go down to a finer filter, but for now, you know, seems all right. So that's it. We're gonna let everything cool down and then pull the downpipe, pull the pan and transfer case, and then move right along. All right, looks like we do have to pull the driver's side axle to gain access to the oil pan bolt that's underneath it. So a little bit extra work. I'll probably throw in the rebuilt OEM axle while it's out, which means I'll have to pull the other side and then throw that other new one in there just to have a matching. I wanted to show you kind of how I did this. bracketry. So again, super tight fitment here. We've got the Cyborg, the JDM Mirage Cyborg cross member here, and it bolts to the factory. There's factory holes here because they use the same chassis for front wheel drive and then also the all-wheel drive in Japan and Europe and all that. So here's where the original bolted in. Here's where the new one bolts in. I left the sway bar here just because I try to work around what's already there. In the all-wheel drive version, they actually have a sway bar that goes underneath the cross member and attaches. I don't know if it attaches underneath the control arm or it just comes underneath it. Whether or not it's still even needed, I don't know. I just left it. But it looks like we have a little bit of a stress crack here. It does get a little thin in here, but I've reinforced it quite a bit with extra steel here, and then back here there's extra steel here. Strengthened it up a little bit, so we'll have to like thicken this up or do some kind of triangle here, and then, you know, maybe a piece of metal here just to increase the stiffness and fortify this. As far as the bracket up there, that all looks pretty good. That's super fortified with extra metal and brackets and everything welded in there. So that looks like it's okay. But again, like the clearances on this thing are just so tight. Like here, just the tiniest crack in between there. And then the sway bar, obviously. But you don't have a lot of space to work with to get your engine mounting done. And some people I've saw, they mounted it to the firewall and did it that way, but if you have access to the JDM cross member, use that. It's a lot better, a lot more rigid, and obviously it was made for the vehicle. So yeah, we'll see. I could probably leave this in here and just grind this down and then add some metal welding in, so you don't have to mess with anything else. But I've got the I don't remember who made it, but there's the speed sensor that, lighting is not great. The electronic speed sensor, it was some rally company that makes rally equipment, but basically it goes in line with the mechanical speedometer cable, so you can have an accurate speed signal into your AEM or aftermarket ECU. And then the factory cluster still works. So I don't think they make this anymore, and I don't know if anyone can find it. I'll try to find a part number what that was, but I know they were not they were discontinued a while ago. What else? That's about it. Here you can kind of see the AC compressor in a. Let me get this other light here. Previous video, we covered the AC compressor and that new high pressure valve. So I'm not going to go into detail about that. But yeah, it's kind of a look at what I did under here, because a lot of times people have questions about how to do this or that, or what brackets to use and mounts and all that. So this is actually a 2G transmission case, I believe. So there is a bolt hole, an open bolt hole that you can attach to that motor mount if you wanted for extra bracing, but I think I skipped that on this one. That was like a JDM thing where the motor mount had a threaded receiver in it for the trans. But yeah, so that's about it. And front one too, like there's so little space in here to work. You can see even the trans comes so close to the cross member there. But this had to be modified too. This lower engine mount really had to be hacked up for everything to fit with the turbo. So yeah, that's it. And then here's our Oil lines again, another look at that. We have the remote. So we have the remote oil pressure sender mounted up there. You don't want to mount that to the engine because I've lost countless sensors to just engine vibration, and I don't know if it's the vibration or the heat that kills them, but you got to remote mount that. Just a stainless line. Yeah. So next I'm going to pull the axles and then the pan after that. Alright, we got our axle out. You can see the OEM reman axle, or refurbished, is here. And then the aftermarket, which isn't too bad. I mean, it lasted this long, so everything is good to go here. You see they have much better quality clamps. They don't stick out. The boots look better quality. And then they use the OEM cups, which is a big deal. You can see right on there NTN, so it still has like the factory markings. And then this is machined a little bit differently. See, the aftermarket one's almost flat here. This one's got a lip. And then this side, pretty similar. The Mirage Turbo has a different, whatever you want to call it. This is different, that goes into the hub, than like a DSM one, I believe. So that you got to get the right width on that. So these are good to go. The old school Willwood conversion. Got your spacer here. And this is a kit that was made a while back, and these use the Galant VR4 rotors, and the center is machined out just to clear this raised hub thing. So, and then obviously the longer studs to fit the spacer, and then the Willwoods, and they're just standard Willwood, I don't know, street pads or something. They're just not metallic or anything. So here we've got, I don't even remember what type of coilover system this is. Yeah, it's been so long, I don't know. I think it's these KYBs. Let's see here. Oh no, they're the Megan, that's right. Okay, they're the Megan Racing. So I've got the Megan Racing DSM street struts on here. And then they have the Mirage top hats, so the 2 bolt, one in front, one in rear. So I think these are full DSM everything. DSM springs and struts. They are a little stiff, they're hard to dial in. I wish there was a better solution. If somebody has a better solution for like a all-wheel drive Mirage that's made for a lighter vehicle, let me know, because this is a little bit tricky and stiff. Side note, the TE37 with tire weighs 29 pounds. It's super light. Like, this is just crazy light. And these are 16s. I do have 15s that I was going to use for slicks. And the 15s are only 10 pounds, which is wild. But yeah, you can find these pop up here and there on internet. Instagram is a guy that sells them. But the 14 by 114 or the 4 by 114 are super difficult to track down. And then I refurbished these with the OEM center caps, new valve stems, and then the stickers, and then powder coat, obviously. So we've got the ATI dampener on there, the whatever you want to call it, balancer. So these, the 1.5 liter obviously has the hole here to get the bolt out, but just the way the engine sits, you have to basically remove the engine to get the balancer out, because there's no way to sneak this off with the space in there. I don't know if that's the same with everyone's, but yeah, this definitely doesn't line up anymore. I thought it was something I did. I didn't line something up correctly, but I don't know, maybe. Yeah, and here's the lines again. Looks like I did have two different, I had this on here for some other gauge. I think I just left it on, and then here I have the newer sender that's just teed into there, so I just left it. But yeah, it's a look of this setup. And the brakes are fine. I don't have any issues with brake fade or anything that I'm doing on the track or on the street. They're pretty nice. So yeah, on to the next. Now we can pull the pan out, the axles out of the way. So we'll get that out, and then I'll probably put everything back together and then do the passenger side axle last and just swap that in. All right, pan's off. You can see we got the block girdle, R&R aluminum rods. We have Wiseco 1400 HD pistons that are 10.5 to 1. Everything looks good in there. Nothing dirty. No issues. No points of concern. And then we got the modified strainer pickup here. And that's pretty much it. Very simple. So we're going to clean this up and then either reuse the pan and get a new pan, or find a used pan that I've got laying around. I think I'm going to go back to the factory bolts though, because I was using these stainless hex cap bolts, and a lot of them were not even hand tight. They were just loose. So I don't know if they loosen up over time. They don't have any washers or anything like that, so I don't know. We might have to go back to just factory bolts. Yeah, I don't know. But there was some gasket material missing right here, which was probably one of our leaks. And there was actually some material missing right here, so that could have been another leak we were having. So we're going to use 3-bond this time. I think I used Permatex gray last time, but 3-bond, nothing's going to get through there. So yeah, not too bad. And then here's our hole for that plug that we got right there, and it'll be up and running in no time.